Hello everybody, my name is Karen Cumming and I am one of the authors of the book, The Indispensable Survival Guide to Ontario's Long-Term Care System. I wrote this book together with my sister, Patricia Milne, in 2019 after our mother, Verna, passed away in long-term care in Niagara-on-the-Lake. It was a long and winding journey that was a bigger challenge than either one of us ever imagined it would be. And when it was all said and done, after we had guided our mother through the long-term care system, I decided that I wanted to write a feature article for the Hamilton Spectator that was all about our mother's story, her journey, our journey, but also an article that would give other families advice, tips, ideas, help to ensure that they would never feel as alone as we felt on this journey. We had some great response to the article, and after that happened, we decided that this should become a book. Primarily because we felt the need for a survival guide of some kind to help people navigate a system that is so unbelievably complex and frustrating. And the trouble is that you don't know what you don't know until you're in the middle of it, until perhaps you're in the middle of a crisis situation, and suddenly you're in a panic over trying to learn what it is that you need to know. If you take a look at the front cover of the book, the two words at the top of the title, it says proactive and prepared. And that really is the key message behind the book. We're encouraging people everywhere, whether it's families of moms, dads, grandmothers, grandfathers, or those folks themselves, to start doing their homework now. Don't wait until you are in the middle of a crisis situation, because by the time that day comes, it's almost too late. You really need to start now, start preparing now, be proactive, learn everything that you need to learn so that when the day comes, if it comes, you'll be ready to navigate the system with as much confidence as humanly possible. The reason really behind writing the book, in addition to wanting to help other families and to make sure that no other family should struggle the ways ours did, was because we loved our mom. And we wanted to write it as an homage to our mother, to make sure that this would be on library shelves all across Canada and in bookstores and available online. As a tribute to our mother, she was 98 years old. Her name was Verna Amelia Cumming. She raised 3 children together with our dad. She and our dad, Tom, were married in 1942 in the middle of a world war. A very dramatic time in history, which when you think about it is not unlike the time in history that we're all living through now. I couldn't imagine going through the experience that we did with our mother in long-term care with a pandemic on top of all of the stress that is the usual stress when you're trying to figure out a system that, to be quite honest, is not very user-friendly. It kind of feels like there's a bit of a connection between this time and the time our parents, were alive and raised their children. We're going through our own kind of challenges now, and this, anyone who's been paying attention to the news over the last year, you're well aware of all of the issues that are facing the long-term care system and the way in which the government has managed the long-term care system. It is not an easy thing to get the hang of, and anything that can help you to do that, certainly in terms of a survival guide, is something that I invite you to consider in a serious way, because we wrote this to help you. That's really it. We wrote it as a tribute to our mother, and we wrote it to help you. What I'd like to do now is to read you the introduction of the book, just to give you an idea of what it's all about. I like to think that we did a good job. I've spent a lot of my life as a television and radio news reporter and producer, as a teacher, as a health promoter. I love to write, and I feel like we wrote it in a very engaging way. It's an easy read. It's not dry and dull and filled with statistics. It's really user-friendly is the term that I would use to describe it. Actually, it's the preface that I'm going to read to you. And with every chapter, we start off with a quote. And this chapter starts off with the following quote: "But it is a long way to the Emerald City. You must pass through rough and dangerous places before you reach the end of your journey. And that, of course, is by L. Frank Baum, and it's from the book The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. Remember The Wonderful Wizard of Oz? Of course you do. It's the story of a girl who goes on a journey to a place she's never been before. Bad things happen. Good things happen. In the end, she learns the lessons she needs to know about life and love and about herself. Sound familiar? Just like Dorothy, you too are about to go on a journey, except you're not heading into the land of Oz. You're following the yellow brick road into the deep, dark wilds of Ontario's long-term care system. Perhaps you're helping an elderly parent. Perhaps you're on the journey yourself. Whatever the case, you'll have a feeling you're not in Kansas anymore. You'll be dodging wicked witches, flying monkeys, and munchkins at every turn. You may even want to run home to Auntie Em and Uncle Henry. We wouldn't blame you if you did. Here's the good news. It's all going to be okay. Consider this little book your survival guide for the journey you're about to take. We're not going to lie. The long-term care system can be a scary place. Unless you work in healthcare or know someone who does, you've probably never had much to do with it before. One day, you just woke up and realized that your aging mother or father could no longer live in their home alone. Maybe they were staying in an assisted living facility and suddenly couldn't walk anymore. Maybe they were hit by a crisis of a different kind. It's one of those moments that Oprah loves to talk about. The light bulb went on over your head. The penny dropped. You understood in a deeper way than you ever did before that your mom or dad would need a higher level of care than their current home could provide. You're not alone. Hundreds of thousands of baby boomers across Ontario are in the same boat. There are more than 2.4 million people aged 65 and older living in this province. That was as of late 2019, according to StatsCan. Some are the caregivers, some are the cared for. We wrote this for all of you. It's the survival guide that we never had. This book found its beginnings as a feature article appearing in the Hamilton Spectator, the St. Catharines Standard, and the Peterborough Examiner in May of 2019. In it, we chronicled our mother's journey through the long-term care system and the roller coaster ride that it became for our family. We suggested at the end of the article that we were working on an e-book. The response from readers was swift and heartfelt. They encouraged us to get it done and to get it out into the world. We're doing this for one reason. We have been where you are now. And we would have given our right arm for someone to have guided us through the system. A confusing maze of care coordinators, nurses, doctors, PSWs, assessments, occupational therapists, paperwork, equipment rentals, medications, and the list goes on. It felt like the only people who spoke the mysterious language of long-term care were those on the inside of the system. It was all Greek to us, literally. We were outsiders, tourists in a foreign land, trying to find the Parthenon without a map. There were times when we thought we would lose our minds. Even now, we look back and we find it hard to believe. No one took us under their wing in a meaningful way. No one gave us a colorful brochure that explained all the basics. No one gave us the one-on-one coaching that we needed, that everyone needs. It didn't take us long to realize that we'd have to coach ourselves, learn the ins and outs of the system, and advocate for our mother like never before. With the help of a spiral-bound notebook and a ballpoint pen, we wrote everything down. Every conversation, every contact, every phone number, and every personal reflection we had time for. We ate, we slept, we asked hundreds of questions, and we tore out our hair. During whatever time was left, we vowed to be there for our mom. We also vowed that one day we'd be there for other families who were on the same journey. It's a life experience that all of us as human beings will go through. But the harsh reality is that few of us are truly prepared. Our hope is that this book will change all of that. Your Indispensable Survival Guide features easy-to-understand language, information on the basics of the LHIN, which, if you aren't aware, is the Local Health Integration Network, and also information on the basics of the long-term care systems, links that take you directly to the resources you need on LHIN and other government websites. You would not believe how buried this information can be on these websites. Advice on researching homes and compiling your list of preferred facilities. You may not realize this, you're expected to come up with one of those. Guidance on what to do after a long-term care bed is offered to you. Practical tips on buying essentials, adaptive clothing, assistive devices. There's a whole world of things that you're going to learn about once you get into the long-term care system. Some additional insights into life in long-term care, dozens of survival tips, and little-known details that the system simply does not educate us about. Our deep desire is to leave you as prepared as humanly possible to make the decisions for your parent or your loved one that lie ahead. Much more prepared than we ever were. Think of us as Glinda, the Good Witch of the North. We have a magic wand and we're here to wave it over you every step of the way. So put on your ruby slippers, Dorothy. Let's do this. I invite you to look for our book. It's got a distinctive kind of a colored cover. It's an aquamarine blue cover, The Indispensable Survival Guide to Ontario's Long-Term Care System. It is available in this library system and in many libraries across Ontario right now. It's also available if you'd like to have a copy of your own. You can find it on Amazon.ca. On chapters.indigo.ca. It'll be there in print versions, digital versions, and also this is exciting to me. There's an audio version that I recorded last year, and if you tend to learn better by listening to a book as opposed to reading a book, please access the audio version that's available online. It is also available on some store shelves in 10 different Indigo Chapters locations in Southern Ontario. And if anyone is interested in buying the book in bulk for church groups or seniors groups or clients or patients, I'm happy to sell you from my own personal inventory. So please don't hesitate to get in touch with me. You'll find our book's website at indispensableguide.ca. You can email me at indispensableguide@gmail.com. And feel free to call me. I'm happy to talk to anybody who's looking for help or for more resources at 905-745-7575. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm hoping that all of this information will benefit you and benefit your families, and I wish you all the very best of good health.